What's up, guys? It's KB. Make sure you subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Click the bell icon down below so you don't miss a single video from us. And thanks for tuning in to another video from Underground Sports Philadelphia. Now let's get into it.
Philadelphia, baby, you're going to love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
Hello, friends. I hope everyone's watching on YouTube, wondering what this silence is for the most part. Go check out YouTube if you're not watching already. Deej and I, we called each other to plan this. This is a planned event, but we're matching. So we'll talk about that more in a little bit, but shout out to San Diego Seals. What is going on, everybody? Welcome into episode number 320 of the award-nominated, honorably mentioned, number 9 NCAA ranked, and of course viewable on YouTube, Outside the Box podcast, the official lacrosse podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. It's KB and Deej coming at you. We got a loaded episode this week as the NLL Playoffs are set. We know our 8 participants. We have some big Philadelphia Wings news in terms of Paul Day switching up his duties with the team. And we have to give a T's and P's to one of our favorite social accounts, as they are no more. We will get into the NLL playoffs. We will give our playoff picks of the week. As it is technically a new season, we will get the regular season records out to you this weekend, which I'm 99% sure DJ won, but I did make a nice little comeback towards the end of the year with some of my picks, but I'm definitively sure DJ won once again, and that's just how it works. DJ wins the NLL regular season, I win the PLL regular season, and then somehow, some way, I get hot in the playoffs in the NLL, and he and I both typically see eye to eye in the PLL playoffs, and that's just how our picks work. But at the end of the day, we're usually pretty nice, and hopefully this is not a year where, as a podcast, we finish under 500.
I really hope we didn't.
I hope not.
I think
it was a rough year. It was a rough year.
I think there's a possibility we did, but I really hope we didn't.
It was a rough year.
Because I would like to think we know ball.
We do know ball. As you can see by our awesome jerseys we're wearing right now. We do know ball to some degree. We'll also get into some PLL news, as a new member of the PLL has been hired or has been brought back. The way I've been reading things, he used to work for the PLL, then he went to another company, and now he's back with the PLL, and he's got a very similar name to one of the GOATs of pro sports. So when that notification went off on my phone, I was very confused at first glance. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about some mock drafts, as our guy Chase, the PLL Pipeline, put out his mock draft 2.0, and we'll sift through that. Plus, the Waterdogs have their assistant coaches officially announced since the last time we recorded. We'll also talk about the topics from one-on-ones, which we're figuring out a segment name for that. I was just pondering some things with alliteration, Deej. We might call that the Rabel Room.
Okay.
Let us know in the YouTube comment section. But as we told you guys last night, or last week, I should say, last night we had DJ yelling about JJ McCarthy going to his sworn enemies. But last week we said we are going to be discussing everything that Mike and Paul talk about on one-on-ones. And Mike and Paul, let one-on-ones be a segment sponsor on our show. You guys love us. We love you. It's a match made in heaven. Let's do it. Come on. Let's make it happen. We'll also talk some college ball and whatever the hell else pops into our brains as we record. But before we get into all of that, make sure you guys are following us on the socials at OTB LaxPod, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Facebook.com/OTB LaxPod. You can follow Deej on Twitter at SCS_NextGreat. You can follow me at KBIZZL311. You can also follow Underground Sports Philadelphia. This is new. Didn't talk about this last week because it didn't happen yet, but you can follow Underground Sports Philadelphia and connect with us on LinkedIn. Made a LinkedIn page. We're testing the waters with some things on there. So anybody from our company that has a LinkedIn and you have us listed, or you used to work for us and you had us listed, just go and refresh it because the logo shows up now. We're an actual company page on LinkedIn. So check us out on LinkedIn. We're testing some things out on there. And you're a real one because I had to make a new personal account too for LinkedIn because the one I made was from college and it was for a project and I never used it. So I was like, let me make a new one. Day one, man, the myth, the legend, friend of the program, Mike Rabel, friends on LinkedIn. That's how you know you're a real one.
That's actually dope.
He's the man. So yeah, check us out on LinkedIn.
I do not get on LinkedIn enough.
It's interesting. LinkedIn is one of those things that has like that professional like wrap to it where like you have to be like suit and tie kind of on there. I follow a bunch of people that I follow on other social media platforms and they treat it like it's Twitter or Instagram or like I follow Rap Sheet on there and he's posting like NFL updates like it's Twitter. He posts all his breaking news on LinkedIn like it's crazy. I was like, maybe this is how we need to use it.
Yeah, I need to get on over there and get.
It's so funny.
I would probably. Right. I could probably blow up off LinkedIn for real.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
I need to slide on over there.
So yeah, check us out on LinkedIn. That'll be linked in the description. Subscribe to the podcast feed on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts in audio form. But those two in particular, because we get the analytics and the data from both of those outlets, those two platforms directly. We're 9 Spotify followers away from a big time goal. So 9 of you that listen that aren't subscribed on Spotify, go subscribe and keep subscribing. Leave 5-star ratings and reviews. It really does help this show continue to grow, helps more people find OTB and Underground Sports Philadelphia as a whole. We've been getting a lot of new Spotify followers over the past couple of weeks. Like I've seen it grow. Probably within the last 2 weeks, we've gained like 15 new Spotify followers, which is awesome. I love seeing that growth there. So keep following and subscribing on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And of course, subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, youtube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia. That is where you get full video episodes of this show every single week, full video episodes of every show on our network, clips, shorts, live streams, original video content, our NFL Draft Extravaganza live stream will be going down on the YouTube channel, which we have news about that later on in the show that you won't want to miss. That I'm very excited about. DJ's very excited about, and a lot of people at the PLL are very excited about. So stay tuned for that later on in the show. But that will be on the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. We're at 770 subscribers. Let's get 30 more. We're that close. We're that close to 800. Let's make that happen. And, of course, subscribe to the Outside the Box Podcast YouTube channel because that is where all of our summertime vlogs are going to be. You get clips from the show over there, shorts, a whole bunch of stuff we're working on, just testing the waters with what we can do on that channel as well. YouTube.com/@OTBLaxPod and YouTube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia. Coach Deej, what's popping?
We don't want to talk about coaching right now. Let's move on from that. But yeah, the NFL draft last night was also awful, so I don't want to talk about that.
I almost sent it to you, but I was like, my man is still mourning. You know how every draft pick gets a video that they record for their team socials. JJ did the thing that Nick Foles stole from the Vikings, so. And I was like, that's tough.
Bro. Every year the Packers find a way to disappoint me. They just find a way to do it every year. I'm just gonna stop watching the draft.
Guess what?
Just gonna stop.
You're not the Atlanta Falcons or the Denver Broncos. So you're going to have that sigh of relief.
Yeah, but
you have a good quarterback.
We're in the conversation with them.
No.
When they're going to, when people always have who are the worst draft picks of the draft.
You can't pay attention to that,
1, 2, and 3. We're number 3.
I disagree with that wholeheartedly. I'm not just saying that because you're my guy. I disagree with that completely.
Who's the 3rd worst pick of the draft? Of the first round then?
The Buffalo Bills trading out of the first round completely.
That's not a pick. That's not a pick.
That's a decision.
But it's not a pick. What was the worst pick? We're talking actual picks.
Let me look at how.
That was the worst That was the third worst. Behind those two quarterback decisions.
I don't think I agree with that.
You don't have to. It's okay.
To load. If this page wants to load.
It's okay.
I mean, I'm happy with my pick.
I bet you are.
Great.
Matter of fact, I'm going.
I also think the Panthers taking the wide receiver.
I love that.
Wasn't
Xavier
that
Leggett.
great.
I don't know. I love that decision. He's an awesome receiver. He's going to get the ball because Bryce Young doesn't really have anybody else to throw the ball to.
I also think the Bucks pick not that great.
Yeah, but like they weren't bad. Like who else could he have gotten instead of Xavier Leggett? Maybe Roman Wilson. But like there's not like crazy wide receiver talent in this draft. It's already all gone.
I think you had a better pick than the Buccaneers.
No.
I'm not a fan of them taking a center.
They needed it.
Yeah, but ACC center.
Hey.
I know he played lacrosse in high school, but
I think he's going to be good for them. I think he's going to fit their scheme.
I also wasn't a big
the thing is we went for the right position, just wasn't the right guy.
The Raiders also like auto drafted.
Nah, I'm cool with that. Like I said that on the draft last night. Give me Gardner and his mustache. I'm here for that. I'm a big Gardner stan.
Yeah, but this comes a year after they already drafted a tight end.
Hey, I don't care. Put them on opposite sides of each other. Run a 2 tight end system. Or you can even spread Brock out. Like, let's not act like he's not a Kyle Pitts that will actually get the ball.
I don't think
you try and do.
I don't think Jordan Morgan's as bad as
you did the same thing with me with Jordan Love when he started this year. I don't care.
And look at Jordan Love.
Hey, I don't care.
That boy balled out.
We benefited.
And won a playoff game.
We benefited from a very not so good schedule. Our schedule was
home field advantage in the playoffs.
We had the easiest schedule in the NFL this year.
You had a home
field. Our division did. We had
a home playoff game.
Yeah, we didn't deserve it. We did not deserve that. Are you kidding me?
On paper, it will say it was a road game, but we all know that second home for the Green Bay Packers is Jerry World. So that's how you had a home playoff game.
Hey, listen, bro.
And you won in convincing fashion.
Bro, that wasn't even us. That was just the NFL being like, here.
You're such a martyr about your team, bro.
Bro, because there's nothing there right now, bro.
You're crazy. You have one of the best coaches in the league.
Yeah, I'll take LaFleur. Yeah,
Jordan Love is a beast.
He's good.
You just signed Josh Jacobs.
Okay.
You have 3 very young and talented wide receivers.
Then none of them are receiver ones.
That's not what I said. You have 3 very young and talented wide receivers.
Well, you can't.
That Jordan Love makes them work.
Hey, and how well did that work with Aaron Rodgers?
You know who's still available on the trade block? A lot of talented wide receivers.
Are they wide receiver ones?
Yes.
Okay, then go get one. Brian Gutekunst, you heard it here first.
Who would you rather have? I'm going to give you 3 guys that are actively on the trade block / seeking a trade. Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, T. Higgins.
T. Higgins. I feel like our short and middle game is pretty solid, but he would give us a very good deep threat.
I agree with you. He's a wide receiver 1 with Jordan Love. Yeah. And he complements the other wide receivers you have so well and will make – I'm blanking on his name. I can just see his number right now. Number 9.
Oh, Christian Watson.
He will make Christian Watson that much more lethal of a receiver.
Yeah.
And he will make Bo Melton that much better of a slot receiver.
Brian Gutekunst.
Go get T. Higgins.
We just did your job. We did your job for you, big dog. You just got to lay down the framework.
We're just in heavy draft mode, guys. we know this is a lacrosse show, but sometimes it's an NFL show. Sometimes it's a football show.
Yeah,
But
and I mean the lacrosse draft's right around the corner. So
right around the corner. And speaking of, we know who's got. I wanna put this out there because we did get some DMs, and that's on us for not remembering, but also it happened so long ago that you tend to forget, and it's weird with the NLL. So apologies to everyone. Last week when we were talking about the top 3 picks in the draft and the draft positioning, we said Vegas would have the number 2 pick. That's on us. Totally forgot Vegas traded that pick for Rob Hellier, Deej. So Toronto has the number 2 pick in the NLL draft this year. A team that could end up winning the title could also add the number 2 pick in the draft.
how am I supposed to feel as a Calgary fan about that?
Tough scene. So
Yikes.
apologies to the listeners at home. That's on us. We'll be better.
Yikes.
But that happened so long ago that we forgot. There's a lot going up in these big brains.
Mine ain't all that big, but there's a lot going on.
The NLL playoffs are set. The final week of the NLL regular season has concluded, and it is all brought to you by our pals at PHI Apparel Company, the best merch partners in the game, from shirts to hoodies to Philly sports merch. They've got you covered so you can stand out in the crowd, whether you're going to an NLL playoff game, getting ready for the PLL, going to your favorite college team's game. Final 4 weekends about a month away. Let's get the OTB shirts out in solidarity with the NCAA just hating us. You guys can stand out in the crowd, get your OTB shirts and hoodies, go to phiapparel.co, and when you go to checkout, use our code UNDERGROUND for 10% off your apparel orders. Most effective and direct way to support everything we're doing. That's phiapparel.co, code UNDERGROUND, 10% off your order. And when you get your merch, tag us. We'll repost it. We'll share it all over the place. Once again, phiapparel.co, code UNDERGROUND, 10% off your order. Deej, the regular season has come to a conclusion. Week 21 went like this. Rochester kept their hopes alive last Friday, winning 11-10 over Redacted. Their postseason chances at that point went from about 3% to 6%, and then they had to sit and watch and see what was going to go down. San Diego took care of business, beat Vancouver 16-9. Halifax took down Colorado 14-10, and with that victory, Halifax delivered the number 1 overall pick to the Philadelphia Wings. The Wings officially on the clock. Very exciting. And I know you and I were talking about it last week where you want to take position of need, but best available player at that position of need. It's a good year for the Wings to have the number 1 pick, Teach, because 3 of the 4 top picks are defensive players.
Good, because
good year.
That's definitely what
and
you
know
need.
What? I have my pre-draft eye on the 1 pick. He's a 6'5" defenseman from RIT.
Okay.
Bring him to Philly. Let's go. That is exactly what I've been asking for years. That's my guy. Albany takes down the New York Riptide 16-10 and put a kibosh on the Riptide's postseason hopes, as we'll have a moment of silence now because the New York Riptide social accounts cease to exist. Thank you. Your Calgary Roughnecks played a little spoiler in this, beat Panther City 11-9, and I believe that helped keep Vancouver out of the playoffs, if I'm not mistaken. So a little spoiler fun there. Toronto holds on to beat Saskatchewan 12-11 and ended their postseason hopes. Buffalo beat Vegas 14-5, and then Rochester beat Philly 12-3, and Rochester punched the final ticket to the postseason with a 6% chance to get in. The 8-10 Rochester Nighthawks are your 8 seed, Panther City is the 7 seed at 9-9. Halifax is your 6 seed at 10-8. Redacted is your 5 seed at 10-8. Buffalo jumps up to the 4 seed and has a home playoff game at 11-7. Albany has a home playoff game at 11-7. They will be the 3 seed. And then obviously San Diego at 13-5 is your 2 seed, and Toronto, your number 1 seed at 15-3. And you know what's hilarious, Deej? Even though Toronto's the 1 seed, and we know Toronto has had their issues with Buffalo in the postseason the past couple of years. Even though Toronto's the 1 seed, they'll have home field advantage in order to get to the NLL finals. They have to play Buffalo in the second round. If Buffalo ends up winning their first round match, obviously. But that's absolute comedy that we get a Toronto Buffalo second round playoff match. But your takeaways from week 21 in terms of on the field action.
It was like opposite of everything I wanted / needed to happen. But I guess it didn't matter too much because going into the week, my favorite team was eliminated from playoff contention. So it didn't work out. Wait, did Rochester?
Yeah, they're in.
That's insane, bro.
Yeah, because they won their final game. New York lost, Saskatchewan lost, and Vancouver lost. And then you guys beat Panther City. Everything Rochester needed to happen happened.
That's just not fair. That's just not fair, bro. Like, I don't even know what to say about that, really. It really started. You know what? What I really got to say is I got beef. Because when they lost, I felt it. I was like, something's not right here. Something's not right here. And this explains it all. Wow. Wow. Wow, bro.
And you did say a few episodes ago, when I started referring to them as redacted, you said they had until either the playoffs or the end of the playoffs to follow us. Otherwise, you would not be name dropping them. Playoffs are here. I'll give you the floor. And I won't beep it this time so that they understand what we're saying, because they have since refused to even acknowledge that we're tweeting at them. But there's 3 teams in the postseason, Deej, that don't follow us. And we saw what this team here on our chests have done since following us. They are the number 2 seed and arguably the team that we will be rooting for in the postseason.
I mean, I ain't got nobody else to.
Like, we want to see the teams that follow us do well, but pandering works.
Georgia. No. Don't do this. Don't do this. I mean, with the way it's looking right now, you might want to follow me before 9 p.m. on Saturday. Because you drop that one, I'm going to drop you. Unless you follow us, then I have no reason to. Or you can win, and then, that'll extend it another week or 2.
Hey, I'm just saying off the rip. That matchup, that don't matter to me. We got boys. We got friends of the program for that home squad in Buffalo. You already know where my allegiances lie. Even though Buffalo don't follow us, at least they've never acknowledged that they don't follow us. I got to rock with the Chaos Boys.
Yeah, I guess that was the wild part about that. Was they literally was like, and?
Like,
they were like, and? Like, oh, we don't follow you, and what about it? Like, we're not going to do that, actually.
So they have till the end of the playoffs.
How about now?
They have till the end of the playoffs until
the end of their playoffs.
Their playoffs.
Yeah. So when their season's over, chop chop.
Yikes. Buzz.
And like I said, with the way things are rolling right now, you might want to do so before Saturday at 9 p.m.
Yeah, because their game starts at 7 on Saturday. And then the night caps at 10 with these boys.
I might wear this during the game, no kidding.
I might too. Oh, you know what we need? We need to find out if they sell San Diego Seals like patches with like the icon logo. Slap that on the sleeve.
Okay. I know somebody who could do that for us too.
Right.
For the
Be
free ski.
fire.
For the free ski too.
Be sick.
Yeah, because
I'll have to hit our plug.
I'm not paying for no embroidery.
I'll have to hit our plug.
Yeah, you should do that.
Which we'll talk about in a little bit.
You should do that. Tell him meet me on 51st.
89 and South.
Yes, sir.
Some off the field NLL Week 21 happened on Monday. I got the email at about like 9 a.m. and was like scrambling because I was getting ready to go to the day job, but I was like, this is kind of important. Friend of the program, recurring guest, Paul Day is stepping down. He has resigned as head coach of the Philadelphia Wings, but will be remaining with the organization as the team's GM and signed a contract extension through the 2026 season with a 2-year option that could extend through 2028. I kind of was caught off guard by this. I didn't expect it, but I think it showed a lot of humility and humbleness from Paul to say, we need to evaluate what's going to get us over the hump with the talent we have on this roster already. And we know Paul Day has been able to put together teams of elite caliber, as we have seen. Obviously, the results are not there, but you look at this roster right now. They have an elite goaltender who just broke the NLL record for saves in a season, which is another reason that you should be drafting defense number 1 overall. You have a top 6 that goes toe-to-toe with any top 6 in the league, in our opinion, of Mitch Jones, Ben McIntosh, Joe Resetarits, Blaze Reardon, Holden Catoni, Sam LeClaire. And then you also throw in Tate Catoni in the mix there and a lot of supplemental pieces that are very talented. We know Paul Day can build a roster. We know he can wheel and deal on the trade market. We know he can draft prospects and utilize them, whether it's on a practice squad, whether they end up playing for the team, or you end up trading them and you get other pieces back. I think this move for Paul Day takes a lot of pressure off of his shoulders and a lot of stress that has been weighing on him. And I think it all kind of came to the forefront during that final week where they had 2 home games and Paul's emotions genuinely took over him when he started talking about his son. I think him being the GM, where he won't have to be in Philly every week, he won't have to be on the road every week, is now going to give him more time at home with his son, not miss out on potentially seeing like some big milestones in his son's life, and still be a part of this organization in a very important position and still helping the Philadelphia Wings go and win a championship.
I mean, if you don't go defense first to me here, you're just doing a disservice. Like, to me, you see it a lot in like basketball and football. Like, teams will just ignore the position they need to go get the best available guy, which like I kind of get, but like, no.
Yeah.
No. Draft based off of what you need, because that's the whole point of doing this, is to make your team better and to put your team in a position to win. The offense is fine. You have a good faceoff guy. The transition pieces are there. The defense that's in front of Higgins is not all the way there. There's pieces, there's a couple guys here and there that do very well. But if you don't have a 5-man unit out to play D, everyone doing their job, it's not going to work.
Right.
A very good D guy that's going to come in with energy and communication and ready to learn and just put it all in is what this team needs.
Mm-hmm. And I think, from a personal standpoint, I will forever go to bat for Paul Day. Like, not only since day one has he been supportive of this podcast and what we do as a company, and has just been over the top gracious to us, has given us his time to come on this show multiple times. Every press conference, make sure that I'm getting my questions in, which you don't have to do as a coach. Talked about before Deej was even a co-host on this podcast, but when my dad was in the hospital with COVID, Paul Day was reaching out to me to check in on my dad. And when he came home, reached out and said, "So happy your dad's doing well." It goes beyond the media member coach spectrum for me. And I know that relates to DJ as well, because we're homies, obviously. And he's treated DJ just as incredibly. So I will always be in Paul Day's corner no matter what. And I'm just thrilled that he's staying with the team too. Because, he could have said, "Hey, I'm stepping down as coach. That was my number one priority, and the GM role was there. I'm going to give both of these duties to somebody else and kind of just ride off into the sunset after this, unfortunate season we had." He's staying with this team. It feels like the front office is still very in sync with Paul Day. And the way that Paul, in his statement that he put out, made everything sound is it's going to be a completely new coaching staff, which if you're a Wings fan, you should be over the moon excited about, because we've been preaching for weeks on this show that it wasn't all Paul Day's fault that the Wings underperformed this year. Does some of the blame lie on the head coach? Sure. But not everything is Paul Day's fault. The players play the game. They go out and perform or underperform. And there's also systems in place by your assistant coaches. And we have said for weeks that Jeff McComb's offensive scheme is outdated in the NLL. And me, as somebody who covers the team on a week in and week out basis, and how much of a slug it was this year to watch the Wings offense try to perform, I'm excited that there's going to be a breath of fresh air offensively for this team. And if you're a Wings fan, you should be pumped too. I think Paul is going to be very meticulous in his replacement as the head coach and meticulous in who joins that coaching staff as coordinators. I wouldn't mind seeing Ian Rubel back working the defense, because I don't think the defense was all that terrible this year. I think it was mostly just you didn't have over-the-top talent on the defense, which hopefully this draft will address. But this is an exciting time for a team that is in a position, for the most part, in 2.5 of 4 phases. You want to break it down: offense, defense, transition, and then obviously goalie I kind of view as its own entity in the NLL. You have a superstar goalie. You have a superstar offense. You finally found your faceoff guy and need to work a little more talent into the transition game. But figuring out the defense is number one priority, and you get a chance to add the number one pick in the draft to this team along with a new coach. This is a rare and unique opportunity for any franchise to do. And I'm over the moon as a media member that we're going to have the opportunity to be boots on the ground to see all of this unfold and cover it directly.
Yeah, I wanted him to stay. And
Same.
kind of, do his thing in the office, and because he's great at putting teams together, but he won't be far. And I think his input will be something that'll be called upon from time to time, and will be valued. So his fingerprints will still be all over the organization in certain ways. And he's definitely going to be able to put the right people in the right place. That's something he was already good at, which is a skill. A lot of people don't really realize that that's a strength that everybody doesn't have. And it's not really something that can be taught. You either kind of have an eye for you know what people go together and what people are good at, or you don't. And he has that eye, and he's been able to put really good teams together. But when you're putting together a team and trying to coach it, there's a lot going on, which is why the way that the PLL is choosing to expand, which we'll be talking about in a little bit as well, is good, because eventually they're going to be able to get GMs for these coaches so that these coaches can worry about just coaching, and the GMs can do the roster construction and, you know, ask for coaches' input when they need it.
Yeah, so it's going to be a fun and wild time with the Philadelphia Wings, and I'm very excited to get the opportunity to kind of watch it all unfold in front of us. And it's going to be a new era of Wings lacrosse going into next year, from a coaching perspective, and I think just from a team morale perspective. So it's going to be a lot of fun to watch, unfold right before us. But we move to the most wonderful time of the year. It's the NLL postseason, Deej. And guess what? It's brought to you by a very fun partnership with the San Diego Seals. That's right. This segment brought to you by the San Diego Seals. The Seals, they knew what was up. A few weeks ago, when the Ottawa Black Bears came into the fold, they followed us immediately. And then there were four once again. And then the Seals came through, followed us on Twitter. And then we saw their promotional shoot with Westberg, Danny Logan, Trevor Baptiste, and Trey LeClaire rocking these beautiful baseball jerseys. We're Danny Logan and Westberg. And we put a clip out and said, we need those baseball jerseys. We need those. And so the San Diego Seals became the first and only, to this day, NLL team that follows us on Instagram. So they follow us on two platforms, as do the Colorado Mammoth, because they follow us on Threads. But the Seals slid in the DMs and sent us a nice little care package of these San Diego Seals baseball jerseys that DJ and I are wearing right now. And they said, we will send you the jerseys on one condition. You shout us out, which we love the San Diego Seals. Shout out to the Seals. Am I right, Deej?
Yes. We absolutely love the Seals.
Shout out to...
I might like a team out west a little bit more, but the Seals are amazing people. And the people,
a lot of friends of the pod on that team.
That's where I was going. Tons of them.
Including their head coach and GM, Patrick Merrill. And they also said the other condition was they want you guys to have a chance to get your own Seals baseball jersey. That's right. If you want to get one of these jerseys that DJ and I are wearing, which are absolutely awesome, and it's very cool, the number is number 18 because that's the year the Seals came into the league, and that's also the year OTB got started. So a nice little crossover there with the number. If you want to get your own Seals baseball jersey, all you have to do is slide in the DMs of the San Diego Seals and give them the best reason as to why you should receive a Seals baseball jersey. I want you to slide in the DMs. I don't know if it's just on Instagram, because that's where we got this information from, but slide in the Seals DMs, especially on Instagram, and give them your best, most unique and fun reason, obviously being respectful, of why you should receive a San Diego Seals baseball jersey. Can't wait to see who ends up getting one. We're going to keep running this for as long as the Seals want us to. And we're very excited. We're trying to work more with the San Diego Seals on a lot of things, getting some of their guys on the show that necessarily haven't been on the show. But yeah, it's a very, very fun partnership and a very fun collab with a sports franchise that, because of you guys listening and following along with us, we're able to do stuff like this. So big ups to the listeners and followers at home. And if you want your own San Diego Seals jersey, that is baseball jersey for the people just listening. The baseball jersey that DJ and I are wearing right now. Slide into the Seals DMs and give them the most creative reason as to why you deserve to receive a Seals jersey of your own. Can't wait to see who gets it. Whoever ends up getting it, tag us, tag at Seals Lax. Shout them out, obviously, but we want to see who ends up winning it, and hopefully it's one of the OTB faithful that gets hooked up. This is one of the coolest partnerships and like collabs we've ever done. So
by far,
very excited. And shout out to the Seals organization. They are one of the best in all of sports. So go get a chance to win your own Seals jersey. And that brings us to our quarterfinals preview, Deej. We got 4 games, single elimination this weekend, Saturday, Sunday, all in prime time. 3 games on Saturday, 1 game on Sunday. It all gets started at 4:30 Eastern time on Saturday, where the 1 seed Toronto Rock host the Rochester Nighthawks. And then at 7 p.m. Eastern time, the Buffalo Bandits host the Redacted Redacteds. And then on Saturday at 10 p.m. Eastern time, our San Diego Seals are hosting Panther City Lacrosse Club, which I did see a very funny tweet that said, Saturday at 10 Eastern, we get a playoff matchup between the 2 most similar designed logos in the entire NLL, to which our guy Hutton Jackson, and then that tweet also said, loser should have to change their logo. And then Hutton said, loser should also have to change their name, parentheses, go Seals.
I low-key love that. And that's exactly how I feel about Delaware, Michigan lacrosse, because we play like every year at this point. So like the way I see it is, if you lost the year before, you have to take your wings off your helmet for that game. And then the next year, whoever wins the previous year gets to wear their wings in that game.
That's hilarious.
Although Delaware just shouldn't wear a winged helmet because that belongs to Michigan. But
it would be sick. I don't know if they've ever done it, but it would be cool if there was some sort of way to like work around obviously the copyright and everything. But if Michigan had a helmet that had the Wolverine claws going through one side, that'd be so sick. Be sick. That would be fire. Michigan Lacrosse, if you're listening, we have an idea for you. But 10 Eastern time is the battle of the Purple Squads, Seals and Panther City. And then Sunday at 3 Eastern, the 1 standalone game, the Albany Firewolves take on the Halifax Thunderbirds. And that is the most perfect thing for Albany's first playoff game, is to have the adjective animals, as it's the Fire Thunder Wolfbirds.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. I love it. Fire Thunder Wolfbirds.
You want to talk about mutants and X-Men? Thunderbirds, Firewolves.
The Firebird Thunderwolves.
Which is very funny because the Arena Football League team in Albany is the Firebirds.
That's great. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Yeah, we need to do something about that. We got to make that work.
Amazing matchups for the postseason across the board. I think when you look at Toronto and Rochester had a very, Jekyll and Hyde season where their offense would get super hot and Connor Fields would pop off. And that's why he's in the MVP discussion. And then there'd be games where they score like 6 to 8 goals. And it's like, where'd the offense go? And then they're playing, obviously, the number 1 team in the league. And that's going to be a very fun matchup. It's a rivalry. There's a lot that can come from that game. And I think it's going to be a very physical game. I think it's going to be, can Rochester's offense come to play and show up against Rosie? That's what's going to determine, I think, a lot about the flow of this game, not necessarily the outcome, but how back and forth will it be? Will it come down to a final possession type situation? Can Rochester go on runs emphasis on the plurality of that throughout this game. Because we've also seen Toronto like cruise in a lot of their games this year, where they pop off in the first and the fourth, and then the middle of the game, they kind of just play keep away a little bit, and they're just trying to navigate through the game. If Rochester can go on one of those type of runs that they had throughout this season, where they're scoring 16, 17, 18 goals, it's not going to be that easy of a matchup for Toronto as a lot of people, I think, are thinking it will be on the surface.
What was that last part?
If Rochester can like string together a 16, 17, 18 goal performance as a team like we've seen them do this year, not saying they will, but if they do, can Toronto be consistent as well, where like we've seen them turn it on in the first quarter, turn it on in the fourth quarter, and then in the middle of games where they have a lead, they can kind of just navigate through and kind of play around with teams. If Rochester's on that type of heater that we've seen them go on, Toronto's got to turn it on all 4 quarters and play a complete game.
I don't
It
think
won't
that-
necessarily be as easy of a game as I think a lot of people are just penciling it in to be, because on the surface they see Rochester, they squeaked into the playoffs, they're 8-10. I'm not saying Rochester's going to win this game. We'll save that for picks, obviously, but I'm saying it's not going to be as much of a cakewalk for a number 1 seed.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be a little bit tighter than people think, but I think they still win by 3 or 4 plus. I think the defensive side of the ball for Toronto is just too good. And with a goaltender of the year candidate and former winner, Nick Rose, in between the pipes, it's only making it that much harder. So yeah, I don't know that. I don't have as much confidence in that upset as I do in maybe a Panther City over Seals. As much as I love the Seals, I could see Panther City kind of shocking them more than an 8-over-1. Thunderbirds over Firewolves is probably the most likely upset we see this weekend.
I was about to say, bro, do you want the Seals like partnership to keep going? Like,
I got this, bro. I got this. I'm just being honest.
But yeah, Rock Nighthawks, I think, is gonna be very entertaining. A lot of people might be just underestimating the full-on value of what that game is, just because on the surface it's a 1 versus an 8. It's an under 500 team versus the number 1 team in the league record-wise. But like, Rochester has an MVP candidate on their team. They have the ability to pop off, and it's just a matter of them being on their A++ game and seeing how they can navigate in a win-or-go-home situation. 7:00, same side of the bracket. So the winner of Toronto and Rochester plays the winner of this game. Buffalo versus Redacted. Lyle Thompson versus Josh Byrne. Josh Byrne led the league in scoring this year. Shout out to Burnsy. Dane Smith had a 100 assist season. They're built different, and a home game in the playoffs at Banditland in a winner-go-home situation is going to be absolutely insane. Dare I say, chaos. I think this game is going to be the most back and forth, pound for pound, like heavyweight battle of the weekend. You have talent top to bottom on both teams. You have 2 very elite goaltenders, and this game is going to come down to, I think, who has the final possession. Like, it will not surprise me if it's 30 seconds left in the fourth quarter and we're tied up at, 13-13, and whoever holds that ball at the final possession and gets a chance to go against either Brett Dobson or Matt Vince ends up winning that game and advances. This is my game of the weekend.
Okay.
I think they're very evenly matched in a lot of aspects and can kind of
I think
go back and forth with each other.
Yeah, I think that's what I don't know how to explain this. Like, it's weird. Like, these two teams are ready for this position.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like kind of we don't know what to expect from the Firewolves or the Thunderbirds.
Correct.
So that game also has like this implication to be like insane
Mm-hmm.
because they're both kind of just like, well, we're here.
Yeah.
Like, so like, what are we gonna do now? So like, I'm really excited to see that game, and like, that has potential to be a real back and forth blockbuster too. I
Yeah.
really like that one.
I think
But this probably will be the game of the weekend for
the
4v5.
key for 4v5 is goaltending. Is who's going to be able to be a bigger brick wall than what they've been all year. And is it the polished vet in Matt Vince, or is it Dauber?
I say maybe penalties.
That too.
I think it might come down to penalties and who's executing on those opportunities and who's not.
And I think it has a good chance to come down to the faceoff dot. Connor Farrell versus Jeremy Thompson. We've seen the success that Connor Farrell has had since the Bandits signed him. I think that could also play a huge factor in this game and just getting those possessions early to that offense that has, like we mentioned, a guy with 100 assists this year and the reigning league MVP, and another guy that's in the MVP conversation who led the league in scoring.
Yeah,
Very
I
fun
mean,
game.
It's all there. The pieces are there.
Get your popcorn ready at 7 Eastern time on Saturday because it's going to be
ASAP because it's
amazing.
going to be crazy.
And that crowd noise is going to be electric. And you already know our guy, John Gertler, is going to be on one. Playoff John Gertler is unmatched. We're going to get
I love his voice, dude. That's going to be so great.
He's the best. Then we go to the nightcap. Shout out Unk and Ocho.
Hilarious.
Seals, Panther City. Panther City's first postseason appearance, if I'm not mistaken, or did they make it last year?
Did they squeeze it? I think they squeezed in last year. I think they were the 8.
Did. But they do have a significant piece out. Producer Donnie, Jonathan Donville, is out for this game and out indefinitely with an injury. Hopefully everything is okay and he gets back to tip-top shape as soon as possible. That's a huge loss for Panther City. Like, definitively, you're captain of the team without calling him a captain, and a guy who has had a phenomenal season. To not have him going into a heavyweight matchup with one of the best offenses in the league is tough.
I mean, it's more than just tough. And really, when you look at it, they're playing one of the best defensive teams too. When you look at who they have back there, Cam Holding, Eli Gobricht, and a few others that are back there. It's hard to score on that defense. And then they still have Origlieri, who has actually stepped into Phil Frank the Tank's shoes very well.
Mm-hmm.
So now you have a good goalie in front and behind a good defense without one of your best offensive options. It's going to be a rough night for Panther City.
You are correct, too. Panther City did make the playoffs last year. They were the 3 seed in the West and lost to Calgary in the opening round. But yeah, it's tough to not have Donnie out there. Obviously, you'll have the Malcolm boys, you'll have Callum Crawford, and you'll have your guys, but Donnie is such a pivotal part to that offense. And like as Donnie goes, that entire team's energy goes. And to not have him out in San Diego on the road against a team that has tons and tons and tons of playoff experience between Dane Doby, Curtis Dixon, Trevor Baptiste, Kyle Jackson, Westberg, like that team is loaded with just experience. And at the end of the day, what do we know in the playoffs? No matter what the sport is, Deej, playoff experience matters. So it's going to be a tough one for Panther City. Seals fans, pack that place out to have a home playoff game is exciting. And obviously, if they win, they'll host at least one more with the 2 out of 3 in the semifinals. But But yeah, that game's going to be interesting without Jonathan Donville in the mix for Panther City. And we'll see what happens at the nightcap. And then we get to the Adjective Animals Sunday at 3 Eastern time, Albany and Halifax. I think you put it best. We don't know what to expect from either of these teams. Albany lost like 5 games down the stretch and then puts on a performance and wins 16-10 against New York in the final week of the season to clinch that home playoff game. Halifax has had their ups and downs, but they've been playing pretty solid lacrosse, I'd say, over the last month. Cody Jamieson is unbelievable, and you want to talk about playoff experience with those guys. That's going to be an interesting aspect. You know, to have the lower seed have marginal playoff experience over the 3 seed is pretty wild. But I also think you can't really discredit some of the guys on this Albany team who have playoff experience from the PLL as well, whether it's Ethan Walker or Joe Nardella. Those guys have won championships. They know what it takes to go through a grind, and even in a better aspect for them when it comes to the PLL playoffs, it's just one and done every single week. So those 2 guys in particular know what it's like. Hey, it's survive in advance. Let's move forward. This is what it's going to take for us to win and keep it pushing. You're going to have an elite face-off battle in this game with Nards versus Jake Withers. And I think this game will come down to, can the young guys on this Albany team, from Ethan Walker, Alex Simmons, Nate Grennan, and the rest of those boys, go toe-to-toe, Ty Kurtz, go toe-to-toe with the experience that Halifax can throw at you offensively, from Ryan Benesh to Cody Jamieson to Randy Stotts. It's going to be a matter of, when the lights come on, will they or will they not be too bright for Albany while they're at home?
I don't know if it's necessarily a too bright scenario. I think it's just going to come down to a who wants it more. This is going to be a gritty battle of loose balls, pipes, picking up, and a ball in the middle of the field and scoring, or, who goes in the penalty box more. It's all of the small things is what this game is going to come down to. I don't think the moment's too bright or too big for either side. I don't think either side feels like down or like they're in the wrong position. I just don't think they're like, I think they're just like, hey, this is our shot. Because we're in the playoffs, this is our shot. Let's see what we have.
Yeah. And the winner of Seals Panther City and Albany and Halifax will play each other on that side of the bracket. And then the winner of Rock and Nighthawks and Bandits and Redacted will play each other on the other side of the bracket, which semifinals and finals are best 2 out of 3 for both rounds. So it's going to be a lot of fun. The playoffs are here, and you guys know we love the NLL playoffs. And that brings us over to the playoff pick pond as we go feed some postseason ducks and get you set for the postseason with our NLL quarterfinals picks of the week, powered by Kenwood Beer, the official beer partner of Underground Sports Philadelphia. It is a refreshing light beer, just 4.1% ABV, only 120 calories, and just 8 grams of carbs. You guys can go to kenwoodbeer.com, use the Kenny Finder, so you've got Kenwood Beer on tap in the Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Maryland, and New Jersey areas. Gear up for the NLL playoffs if you're in those markets. You can also get it at your local liquor stores in those markets. And of course, check out the Kenny storefront to see all of the Kenwood Beer merchandise you can buy, from the pint glasses to the apparel. It's all elite. That's kenwoodbeer.com. Must be 21 or older to do so. And of course, please drink responsibly. Deej, we will start 4:30 Eastern time. Mind you, everyone at home, these are all one and done games. It's Toronto. It's the Nighthawks. Deej already tipped his pick earlier and said Toronto's going to win by 3 or 4. I'm with you. I think Toronto wins this game, but I do think it's going to be a lot closer than people are expecting. Like I mentioned, on the surface, and it will all come down to can Connor Fields, can Ryan Smith, and the rest of that offense kind of just, go toe-to-toe with what Tom Schreiber, Mark Matthews, Challen Rogers, and the rest of those boys on Toronto can throw at that Rochester defense and their goaltending.
Yeah, I gotta go with Toronto here. They've been great all year. There hasn't been many times where I've had to actually think about choosing against them, and this is not one of them. They have all the pieces all over the field, and this could be their year. But like you said, they might have to get past Buffalo first.
Which brings us to Buffalo at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Buffalo hosting Redacted. Banditland, the playoffs, there's nothing like it. In a battle of two teams that don't follow us on the socials, gotta go with the squad who shows us love from the players on the field, and that is known OTB listener Chase Frazier. That is friends of the program Josh Byrne, Ian McKay, and Dane Smith. I gotta go with the Bandits.
I'm gonna go with the Bandits as well. You still got time to follow me back. Well, follow us back. I mean, you can follow me back too. If
so
you
do
want.
the Bandits.
Doesn't bother me. Yeah, you too. But they know why I said that. There's a little more there. So I'm looking at you, talking to you. Make it happen.
Plus,
If you happen to get an upset here, I wouldn't be all that upset.
Who doesn't want to have it set up on a silver platter for us to have a best 2 out of 3 against Toronto and Buffalo for a chance to go to the NLL Finals?
Me? I'd like to see Toronto played, then just go to the NLL Championship. Doesn't sound like a bad idea to me.
It sounds pretty rough to me, since they don't follow us, and they acknowledged us.
I mean, 3/4 of this side doesn't follow. I wasn't talking about Georgia. I was talking about Toronto playing Georgia and Toronto.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I mean, let's go Nighthawks.
You're funny, bro. You're funny.
This is almost like the 2021 NLL playoffs where like the Nighthawks got thrown into the Western Conference like the Wings did. This is the not friends of the pod and the Nighthawks versus the friends of the pod side of the bracket.
Literally. It's hilarious.
Which we go to 10 Eastern Time in San Diego as the Seals host Panther City. It's on my chest. It's on DJ's chest. I think you guys already know where we're going. We love Panther City, but again, without Donnie in the mix, it makes it that much more difficult for them. So, Trident's up. Go Seals.
Big Seals gang.
Then we go to the Jekyll and Hyde game. Albany, Halifax. Deej, I'll let you set the table. How do you feel about this 3 versus 6 matchup? Because I feel like I still don't know where I'm going. Because you could flip a coin and it could have either team's logo on it, no matter where it lands. That's how outside the box, all pun intended, this matchup is.
I've yet to pick an upset, so I'm going to do it now, just for that reason. That's all I got for you. I'm sorry.
Deej is going Halifax, which I don't hate that. This is where my brain is thinking when it comes to this game. Number one, Albany's got home field advantage, which I think is huge for them. Not necessarily, obviously, the attendance numbers you've wanted to see from Albany this year, but they're at home, as opposed to having to go to Halifax, which is an elite home field advantage. So that's a win for Albany in and of itself. Goaltending, I got to give the nod to Albany. I think Dougie Jamieson has had a phenomenal year this year and has been able to kind of rechannel what we saw from him 2 seasons ago. Last year was a big time down year for him. This year, he's looked incredible and kind of like in that second echelon of goalie. And that's not a slight at him, but like you've had the Origliaris, Christian Del Bianco, Nick Rose, and to a degree, Zach Higgins, just because of the amount of time he had to stand on his head, and he broke an NLL record this year. You throw those four together, and then right there is Dougie Jamieson. Offensively, though, Ryan Benesh has defeated Father Time this year and has gone on an absolute tear like he's 26 when he's damn near 40. Randy Stotts has been great when he's been healthy. Cody Jamison's been phenomenal. Ryan Tarafanko has been elite in transition for the Thunderbirds. And then the Firewolves have just proven that like young talent can win in this league with Alex Simmons, Ty Kurtz, Nate Grennan, like Ethan Walker. Those boys have performed all season long and can prove that they can beat anybody any given week. But the experience factor is creeping in my head too with Halifax and their experience in the postseason. But for the sake of postseason parity, I'm going to go with the home team, and I'm going to take the Firewolves. Because I think it would be good for the league to see a young team advance.
And good for the pod.
Good for the pod.
You to lose and me to win.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go with Albany to get a win at home and kind of show like the team that we've seen them to be for most of this year. So there you have it. Deej and I are both going Toronto. We're both going Buffalo. Both going San Diego. Seals up. And then he's going Halifax. I'm going Albany. And those are your NLL postseason quarterfinals picks of the week. Brought to you by Kenwood Beer. It's going to be a doozy of a postseason. Let's move to the PLL, Deej. And it is brought to you by our app code in the PLL app. Guys, the PLL app is a game changer for DJ and I. When we're recording this podcast, when we're on the road, we just need news up to date, playing the fantasy games, which I did talk to somebody, Deej. Did talk to somebody this week off rip when the season starts. OTB more than likely going to have a fantasy group in the app.
Let's go.
Choo choo.
They gave my boy Bo Peterson a spotlight.
Yeah.
That's
right
hype.
in that app. Right in that app.
That's hype.
The PLL app has been a game changer for us, and we use it literally every single day. And it's gamified, so you can get experience points in the app, which gives you an opportunity to get discounts in the PLL shop. It gives you a chance to be in different fantasy groups, and it is one of the coolest features of any sports league's app that you can get. And we're going to give you 500 XP in the PLL app, which if you go to the App Store, Google Play Store, or go to PLL.app, I heard Mike Rabel talk about that on one-on-ones, PLL.app, you can download the app, create an account if you haven't already, and then go to the redeem code section in the PLL app and use code OTBPOD. That's OTB pod, and you'll get 500 XP in the PLL app. Got to make sure that code is still working when the season starts, because you already know we're going to be boots on the ground telling people, yo, use our code. Use that code. We're going to be in different markets telling people, yo, you want 500 XP? Bang. Download it. DJ's going to be running around the Premier Zone. People are going to be trying to trade him for his sneakers, for a whole bunch of stuff. Nah.
Not going to happen.
We'll give you XP, though. Download the PLL app in the App Store, Google Play Store, or PLL.app, and use code OTBPOD for 500 XP in the PLL app. Deej, one of our favorites, is hanging it up. Officially official. The General, Eddy Glazener, has announced his retirement.
It sucks to see him go. It does. I was ready for one more year with the guy and see him kind of go out there and give it one last hoorah and see if, he could lead the Woods to a championship. But he was great. Like, I've shown plenty of clips of him to my kids. Like, hey, this is how at least one of you needs to communicate like this. But if all of you communicate like this, we can be great. And he's just that guy that did all of the right things, always in the right place, always said the right things, and may not have always made the big play, but he made sure everybody was in the correct spot and truly led the defense the way it should have been. It was literally awesome in pressers. The man answered every question, and he did it in a way that made you feel like he really sat and listened to every part of your question and wanted to answer every part of your question with the most sincere honesty he could. And he always had jokes too. So like those are going to be some of the things I just miss about him playing. But like in retrospect, Matt McMahon is still out there.
No, he's retired too. Remember, he retired live on the pod.
That don't mean he's not out there. We've seen people come back from retirement.
Then why wouldn't they just try to get Eddy Glazener out of retirement?
Because Eddy,
That
bro,
boy's retired.
We all know that when you tell Nat you done, you done. Because K18 said the same thing. If people were trying to get him back, I'm done, yo. I'm done. I don't know though.
I think the Redwoods defense is in very good hands with the way that Nat has approached free agency this offseason. You look at who they've added in lieu of Eddy retiring now. Like, you have Holden Garland coming in. You have Owen Grant still. You have Ryan Kennedy. You signed Malik Sparrow. You have Arden Cohen. You have Chris Fake. Are they going to draft a defenseman? More than likely, because that is one of the things that Nat always tries to do. But I think the Woods defense is going to be – it's going to look different, but I still think they're going to perform at a very high level. And everything you said, I can't help but reiterate about Glaze. Like, so fun in press conferences for a multitude of reasons with the definition of fun. Like you said, he made it sound like he was fully engaged with you. No matter what your question was, he kept it 110%, no filter. You know, if the Redwoods played bad, he came in and told you, like, we played like shit. He held his team accountable in press conferences and was genuinely just so kind to every member of the media. Every teammate of his loved him, and he's in my opinion, a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's just unbelievable, and he will be missed. But I think the Redwoods defense is in good hands. They're young, but I think they're very talented. They're going to add somebody else in the draft more than likely to this young group and just continue to build in the Woods.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they draft someone this year. There's a couple decent polls out there. But I mean, who is there currently? I'm not against it. Maybe OG just goes back down low. Hold on. Let me look at something real quick before I start talking.
And like we said when they signed him, don't sleep on the Holden Garland signing.
Yeah, exactly. Holden Garland is still there.
Malik Sparrow is going to be electric for them.
So at actual D, Arden, Holden, Chris Fake.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think they run a 2-pole tandem up top of OG and Malik Sparrow. I'm fine.
It's pretty cool. Pretty fun.
More than fine with that. That's a great group. Yeah. 27, 24, 23, 25, 24. And they still have RK on the bench. He's 26. Poles are great in age, great in skill. You got a lefty, a righty, a lefty, a lefty, a lefty, a righty. I would probably like one more righty to be even, but four lefties and 2 righties, not bad. They kind of have everything they need here in terms of defense wise.
100%. Shout out to Glaze, an absolute legend. Welcome on this show anytime he wants. And speaking of new, the Waterdogs, since we last recorded, announced that they have 2 new assistants, some young pups coming in the mix with Coach Tierney, and he will be joined by his 2 longtime offensive assistants staying at Denver, obviously, with big-time roles there. So he's bringing in some young guns to the professional ranks. Starting off, Dylan Sheridan, who we mentioned when Coach Tierney was hired, is confirmed will be the offensive coordinator for the Waterdogs, and he is Coach Tierney's son-in-law, married his daughter, and coached with Bill Tierney at Denver for 4 years, from 2010 to 2014. And after that, he served as an assistant at Princeton. There's a connection there. And then he was the head coach at Cleveland State and finally got another assistant gig at Ohio State before returning to Western Reserve Academy, where he's been for the past 3 seasons. Sheridan coached both Zach Currier and Michael Sowers at Princeton. So there's that connection there. And as 2 of the most important players on the Waterdogs offense, that was important for Coach Tierney. Sheridan has coached both sides of the ball, and as his father-in-law trust as a leader. After his playing days, Sheridan got a bachelor's degree in psychology from Claremont McKenna College in 2006. And then your other coach is even younger, Deej. Sweet Louis D. Donatis. He graduated from Grand Canyon University in 2015. 3-time All-American LSM, has taken on a number of jobs, including head men's lacrosse coach at Boston College for 2 years. And since then, he's held scouting roles for both Atlas Lacrosse Club and the Waterdogs. And during the Champ Series, he was Andy Copeland's assistant coach, taking command of substitutions and earning that nickname Sweet Lou from the players. Copeland recommended D. Donatis to Tierney as he explained the heightened importance of optimized substitution in the PLL format. Tierney said he got such rave reviews about D. Donatis from Copeland and the players that the decision was an easy one. Coach Tierney said, I think we have an exciting staff that can do what Coach Brown and Coach Metzbauer did all those years. You work hard, you get us great players, and you work your asses off, and then I'll take the credit. It really works well.
Hey, that is exactly how I like to coach, actually. A lot of my assistants do a lot of work for me, and I'm like, yep, I'm the head coach here. Thanks.
This other quote is great. He said, I needed 2 young guys that will dive into the film and the grunt work because I'm past that prime. I don't even mow my own lawn anymore.
Electric quote. That is electric.
I love these hirings. I think the Waterdogs substitutions during sixes, I made a joke with Coach Rubio a couple years ago about substitutions for an entire season in press conferences with him. But it is such an important aspect now with the changes to the shot clock and just the way that the game flows. And I thought the Waterdogs substitutions in Champ Series were pristine. And to have 2 young guys on this staff alongside Coach Tierney is huge. And I think the players are happy that D. Donatis is on this staff. I think Coach Sheridan's going to be awesome for this team. And we're just going to see this offense for the Waterdogs just elevate from where it's already been, which is at an elite level.
I mean, it really can only, I guess it could get worse, but no, I see it going up more with the talent that's coming in. And then the coaching staff that they have at the current time, reconnecting with a lot of guys is always a good thing.
Yeah. So congrats to Coach Sheridan, Coach D. Donatis on joining the Waterdogs. Some other PLL news. Tom Brady is joining the PLL, Deej. Not that Tom Brady, though. Tom Brady joins Premier Lacrosse League as Chief Media and Marketing Officer. That was announced today as we record this on a Friday. In 2019, Brady helped lay the foundational media strategy at the PLL, and he is back now as he went and worked. He joined the PLL from Endeavor, which is the overarching company that owns the WWE and UFC. And he led content strategy and development for WME Sports, servicing sports properties, athletes, and branded content. Brady led a team that provided solutions in programming, production, creative, business, and monetization for clients in the WME sports portfolio, including the Big 12 Conference, NASCAR, Duke Athletics, the XFL, the Los Angeles Chargers, the Portland Trailblazers, the Washington Commanders, the USGA, the Florida Panthers, the LA Clippers, IndyCar, LAFC, and more. Prior to Endeavor, Brady spent nearly 15 years at the NFL, overseeing the league's cross-platform content strategy, as well as managing social media across all NFL social and digital platforms. And during his tenure, Brady helped launch NFL Network, relaunch NFL.com, and NFL Mobile, and created the NFL's fantasy football game.
Damn.
To me, that sounds like, hey, let's get some version of TLN on TV. But Brady was with the PLL in 2019, and now he's back in a big time role. I think this is a huge rehiring for the PLL to have him back and leading the way with media and marketing from his experience alone to where the PLL is now versus where it was in 2019. It's only gonna enhance what Tom Brady is able to do.
This man's name is Tom Brady?
Yes.
That's wild, bro. He should be so mad at his parents. You know how many times he's been told his name not Tom Brady?
I'm curious if he's older or younger than the Tom Brady.
I would suppose younger.
Or imagine if they're the same age.
That would that's not fair. But I mean, from the sounds of what he's done, it's a great move, content wise.
Yeah.
For what he's going to be able to bring to the on-field and off-field product of the league, continue moving forward and going up. So, sounds like it was great to bring this guy back in office.
100%. Deej, should I let the people in on some of this right here? Some of this for the people? A little dan-dan-dan, dan-dan-dan.
Uh-oh.
Our annual PLL Draft Extravaganza, our third annual, will be happening on Tuesday, May 7th, alongside the PLL Draft that will be on ESPNU. It'll be myself. It'll be DJ. It'll be Chase, our guy from the PLL Pipeline, our intern, and partnered with him, obviously, for the PLL Pipeline. And a growing list of guests that we will be announcing very, very soon. But we do have a very fun feature that will be happening this year due to teams being in home markets. We've got cities attached to teams. We've got supporter groups that we shouted out, and shout out to those supporter groups who were hyping us up on social with the clips and everything a couple weeks ago. I've been doing some talking, Deej. I've been in some meetings, doing some big time stuff to get us even more integrated with the league as a whole. And had a meeting this week and got the green light. So during our PLL Draft Extravaganza stream, 99.9% confirmed, we will have joining us throughout the evening and direct reaction, unfiltered reaction from all 8 supporter groups at their draft watch parties in their specific home markets. So you will see reactions from each and every supporter group on our draft stream throughout our coverage of the PLL draft. And I'm stoked about this. It's going to be so awesome. We're going to have hopefully some players on with us. Hopefully after the draft, like we did last year, have coaches call in. So it'll be draft after dark. And we are going to just continue enhancing this draft stream. And, when we started doing it, we took inspiration from Pat McAfee doing it. And, we went from year one, it was just us, and we were opening PLL cards throughout the draft and having fun with that, to last year where we had future Hall of Famer Greg Gorenlian, friend of the show, Jared Newman, Jack Rowlett via FaceTime with Jared Newman, Hutton Jackson, and covered the entire draft. And then we had Andy Towers and Nat St. Laurent join us afterwards on their way home from the draft. And now we're going to have the supporter groups tapping in throughout draft night. And I just think our PLL draft coverage continues to go true to roof.
I mean, it can only get better because I'm on it. No, I'm playing.
Big facts.
But yeah, I'm really excited for this year. That wrinkle with the supporter group things is gonna be dope. We're gonna be able to see live reaction of people,
like live fan reaction, is
either being super happy or super upset about
so cool
what just happened. I'm so pumped for that.
It's going to be one of the coolest aspects, I think, of what we've been able to accomplish when it comes to covering the draft and everything that it encapsulates. I'm so excited for this year. And last year was so fun. We did so much. We had so many memorable moments from it. And this coming year is only going to get better. I'm telling you guys right now, you're not going to want to miss it. That's why you got to subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/@undergroundsportsphiladelphia, where we will have live reactions from all 8 supporter groups on our draft show. More PLL news, Deej, before we get into the Rabel room. New partner at the PLL that I think is very awesome and beneficial and just another step forward for professional sports as a whole. The PLL has partnered with OnRise. I don't know if you saw this or not. It is a leading mental health company dedicated to prioritizing the mental health and well-being of lacrosse athletes. So the PLL and OnRise will partner to provide comprehensive mental health care tailored specifically for PLL players and coaches as part of the PLL's commitment to athlete welfare. Combined with OnRise's expertise in the athlete-specific mental health, the collaboration seeks to foster a culture of mental resilience and empowerment within the sport. I think this is so fucking cool. Like, to have this come into the league, have, licensed therapy, psychiatry that's athlete-specific is a game changer for the league.
Yeah, I mean, they deal with different problems than what the rest of the world deals with. So they need someone who understands and can help them work through those things. Or maybe something happens outside of the sport and they want to be able to talk to somebody and separate the two avenues. Like, obviously, being a coach, I see it now. Like, kids have a very tough time separating their life from their sport. They can't. I've been trying to teach what I call 2 clicks. Like, once you click on your 2 buckles on your helmet, nothing else outside of the lacrosse field exists.
Mm-hmm.
But that's still really hard for them to do. If something that disrupts their day happened earlier in the day, they're still thinking about it at 6 p.m. And no matter how many clicks they do, it isn't really out of their brain. So having this tool here for professional athletes is going to be next level, and it should improve, their output on the field.
Yeah. So shout out to the PLL for prioritizing mental health for the athletes, the coaches. Before we get into one-on-ones, I wanted to actually, I'll save this for the college segment because it deals with college players. Let's get into one-on-ones real quick. The Rabel room, and talk about some of the topics that they talked about this week. Number 1 was an interesting one that I think played a lot into stuff you've dealt with specifically as a coach. They answered a question from a voicemail, somebody at the University of Florida that plays lacrosse there or is a coach there. I forget off the top of my head, but it was a question about different field sizes in lacrosse as they've experienced playing on different field sizes and how that plays into the game. I think it's a fascinating question, an outside the box type of question that traditionally, when it comes to talking about the PLL, because every field is pretty much set up the exact same, wouldn't really get talked about. But it was an interesting topic to kind of get Paul's perspective on as a former player and seeing how he addressed all of that information was really cool.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, I don't think it matters all that much. Because like for what I see the most is a position where it's like us, like we have a full size field as our home field, but then we play a team on Monday. We're going to their place. They have a unified field. So
Right.
the boys and girls play on one field, which means the dimensions are slightly different and they're actually a little bit smaller than the original field. So like for us, it almost should be an advantage, but it's not. It just messes with kids' heads. And honestly, if you can just get them to understand that it doesn't matter how big the field is anywhere, you're just out there playing in between whatever lines are there because the sport doesn't change no matter how big or small the field is. It's still passing, catching, ground balls, and finishing. It's still communication. Like it's all the same things. So as long as you can get that point down, it doesn't matter where the boundaries really are.
Yeah. The next question was about expansion in the league, and genuinely, if you are somebody who is banging your fists on the table for expansion in the PLL, I highly recommend listening to this segment, and Mike delivers a very eloquent way about talking about expansion, and Paul doubles down on it, where Paul says since 1990, there have been 200 sports leagues created, and 1% of them succeed. And most of them fail within the first 3 years because they try to expand too quickly and try to get like that cash flow in from, merchandise and different teams and everything. And then you don't have enough to sustain what you're doing because you over expanded too quickly. It is a fascinating breakdown of the way the PLL is going and great answers about, some of the guys who are talented that may not be on rosters. Mike talked about Champ Series coming through. We've seen guys have phenomenal Champ Series over the last 2 seasons and are now on rosters. Look at this year specifically. Ricky Miezon gets a 2-year contract with the Redwoods. Wasn't in the PLL the year before. Played in Champ Series. Obviously got injured, but played well in the times that he was on the field. Ronan Jacoby was one of the superstars of Champ Series. Gets a contract with Atlas. You saw Romar Dennis break out in Champ Series and is now on the Redwoods. And you have those, Jake Caraway had a phenomenal Champ Series and then gets a contract with the Waterdogs. And then Paul was also talking about, we're going to have expanded training camp rosters. So you're going to get more looks at different guys. There's talks about potentially having like quarterback days for certain players, for coaches to go out and see guys play that think, hey, I should be on a roster. Like, come check out my game. There's so many different ways that right now in a league that has 8 teams that they're doing to be progressive and help guys get on rosters that should be and really showcase the talent in a lot of different ways. And, a lot of it comes down to what we talked about last week when it comes to different markets. Stadiums and venues are an important part to this. When you have venue ownership, you have schedule flexibility. You can have guys live in the market and then be available on a Tuesday night or a Thursday night, and then you can have games throughout the week. There's so many different aspects to what is involved in expansion, and I think the PLL has done a very calculated job. Year 1 is 6 teams. Right before 2020, the Waterdogs come into the fold. Merger happens with the MLL, the Cannons come in. Expansion will get there, but I think the biggest thing is finding the venues in the different markets now and being able to utilize them to their best of their ability, and then obviously having the funding to fund an entire roster for another expansion team.
Yeah, I think it comes down to I think we're still years away from even that, to be honest, because I think it's more about building in the current markets that they're in. The fan base needs to be more. They need to know that it's going to be a little more successful than what it already is in those places before they decide to expand. And taking time with expansion is always a good thing because, like, you want to have a proven formula before you decide to go like super big with this so that when you do go to some of these cities that may be on the cusp, you have a formula. If it works there, cool. If it doesn't, you know that you can just pick that franchise up, take them to another city, and implement that formula where it will work.
Yeah. Highly recommend listening to that segment, and highly recommend listening to the final segment, which was talking about social media and the impact of it on young athletes and advice on how to navigate social, NIL, sponsorships, and everything. It is a fascinating segment to listen to on how Paul Rabel breaks all that down as somebody who was at the forefront of like the digital space, obviously was on YouTube early on and built a brand right out of college, and hearing his perspectives on everything is super interesting to listen to. He does a great job of like really laying it all out there for everyone. Highly recommend listening to. It was a great episode. If you're not listening to one-on-ones after you get done listening to this podcast, obviously, you're missing out because you're getting insight from two very, very smart brains who are running a sports league that you would clamor to have this from any commissioner or league founder in any other sport, and they're giving it to you for free. So go listen to one-on-ones. This is not an ad, although if they want to advertise on the show, we're more than open. But go listen to it because it's such an awesome peek behind the curtain on a lot of topics that people are asking questions about every single day on social. So go listen to it. And we're going to be talking about one-on-ones every single week on this show because it's a topic of discussion. We can't not talk about it. But let's get to the college corner with Portal Jones. It's brought to you by our pals over at Tomahawk Shades, the best small batch eyewear in the game. From sunglasses to blue light glasses to prescription lenses, they've got you covered for a fraction of the price. Deej is wearing them on the sidelines when he's coaching. I'm wearing them when I'm out all the time, wearing the blue light glasses when I'm watching Lacrosse on TV, when I'm editing the podcast. They are the most comfortable glasses in the game for a fraction of those big eyewear. Why are you going to spend $300-$400 on a pair of sunglasses that are going to break? You're going to lose them. Someone's going to try to swipe them from you. You don't got to worry about that. Tomahawk Shades has it for like a tenth of that price. They have an awesome warranty program, and they're going to keep you covered, and you're going to look fantastic, and people are going to wonder where you got them. Hey, I got them from Tomahawk Shades for way less than what you got with that designer company on your face. Go to tomahawkshades.com or download the Tomahawk Shades app in the App Store or Google Play Store. And download the app right now because they have an all-new sunglasses class, the Brixton class. It's selling out fast. And Deej, they look nice. And guess what? You can get yours when you use code BRIX, code BRIX. You get 50% off your first order. What? 50% off of an already discounted price?
That's crazy cheap.
That's crazy. I'm going to tell you what the price is of the Brixton class right now. The Brixton class, let's see. That you're going to get 50% off on. The Brixton class. Dude, the Brixton class is $45. $45. And you're going to get 50% off of that? You're getting a pair of sunglasses that are elite quality for like $23. Come on. Stop playing with them. And at any time, you can use code USP for 25% off any order at tomahawkshades.com or in the Tomahawk Shades app. That's code USP for 25% off in the Tomahawk Shades app or at tomahawkshades.com. DJ, I wanted to bring this up because it's interesting, I think, because Chase, our guy, has been putting out mock drafts at the PLL Pipeline. Go follow the PLL Pipeline on Instagram and Twitter to compare Chase's mock drafts with Kark's. Whose mock draft do you want first? Do you want Kark's first or do you want Chase's?
Let's go Kark.
All right, so Kark's Big Board 2.0. Right now, it's the top 12 players. He's got Brennan O'Neill, number 1. Connor Schellenberger, number 2. Pat Cav, number 3. Those have not changed. But we do have some movement in his 2.0 mock draft. Moving up from number 6 to number 4, Shane Knobloch, midfielder from Rutgers. How do you feel about Shane Knobloch moving up from 6 to... My bad. 6 to 4 in Kark's 2.0 mock draft?
I mean, doesn't surprise me. He's the guy that could move up if somebody needs a midfielder, he's the first guy to go. So like I'm not surprised really by that move. I think this is one of those drafts where the movement ahead really starts to determine moves beyond that.
Which means Shane goes to Chaos at number 4, as currently constructed with the draft.
I could see it.
Then at 5, previously at number 4, is Liam Entman. And then at 6, previously at number 5, is Ajax Zapatello. And then number 7 is Will Mark. TJ Malone moves up 3 spots from number 11 to number 8. A new member on the list completely, previously not ranked on his big board, Matt Brandow, now at number 9. Moving down 2 spots from number 8 to number 10 is Jake Pacino. And then moving down 2 spots from number 9 to number 11 is Eric Dobson from Notre Dame. And then moving down 2 spots from number 10 to number 12 is Kenny Brower from Duke. So that's Kark's Big Board 2.0. Then we look at Chase's mock draft 2.0. Chase has Connor Schellenberger, number 1 in his current mock draft, then Brennan O'Neill, and then Pat Cav. And then he's got Matt Brandow going number 4 to Chaos. Liam Entman at 5. Shane Knobloch going 6 to Cannons. Jake Pacino going number 7 to the Waterdogs. And then Ajax Zapatello going 8 to the Archers. And then at number 9, going to the Outlaws, he has Jake Stevens from Syracuse. Then he's got your guy, the featured player of the week on the PLL app, Bo Peterson, going number 10 to Atlas. And then at number 11, he's got TJ Malone going to the Outlaws, followed by Eric Dobson going to Chaos, Kenny Brower going to the Woods, Jake Naso going to the Cannons, Graham Bundy Jr. going to the Waterdogs, and then Peyton Cormier going 16 to the Archers. How do you feel about the Pipeline Mock Draft 2.0?
I feel better about that than I do about the big board. I think
agree.
there were some sneaky picks, like Brandow to Chaos is
crazy.
But it works.
Yeah,
that's his
crazy in a
his,
good way is what I should say.
Yeah, that's his kind of offense. Like I really like the way Chase attacked, kind of his mindset on where some guys should end up based upon like their skill set.
Pacino and the Waterdogs would be nasty.
But where's he going to play? That pole situation there is crazy.
Right. But it's kind of one of those like investment type picks because we can both agree the Waterdogs are one of the most complete teams outside of face-off.
Right. So but like they're like kind of young too. If there's one place I don't want to be drafted as a pole in this draft, it's the Waterdogs.
I'm pulling up their roster just for ages real quick, just for my own curiosity. Yeah, I mean, Rylan Reese is 26, Chris Sabia is 27, and then Alex Mazzone's on the roster. I mean, I think Pacino and Alex Mazzone could go toe-to-toe in training camp with each other and battle it out. Mazzone's
but is that
24.
really where you want to be if you're Jake Pacino? When there's places where that's where I'm getting at with it is
But if he found a way onto a game day roster and was playing with the Waterdogs, that would be a lot of fun.
Maybe. He screams chaos almost more than Matt Brandow does.
Oh, 100%.
So
he went to Albany.
I know. I know. But yeah, like I'm not sure about that one. That's the one. He's the one player I'm not really locked in a place for him and where I believe he should go.
I am also still firmly on the train that the Waterdogs, I'm not saying early round, but like later on, they draft a faceoff guy. They should also sign Max Adler. And those be your 2 faceoff guys for 2024. One will be available for game day. You have one on the roster and see who battles it out in training camp and everything. But I think Max Adler's championship pedigree for this current iteration of the Waterdogs is like a perfect match. And obviously that comes down to if Max Adler's going to play, because he obviously was out last year with injury for Chaos and then has not played NLL this year, which, hey, fresh legs, but I'm fully on that train. But I do think the Waterdogs end up drafting a faceoff guy later on in the draft because them and Cannons are really the only teams that need a faceoff guy. I also sneakily really like, because we talked about it with the Woods earlier, Chase mocking Kenny Brower to go to the Woods.
I mean,
second round.
I don't like it because that's not what the Woods need. They need midfield help on the offensive end, in my opinion. I think the pole situation is pretty wrapped up.
Nat attacks the midfield in the third round, though.
Okay, and
that's where his gems come from every year.
Then he should be going to get Chase Erlin then. But they do not need another pole. They do not need another pole. I will reiterate that as many times as I need to. The Woods do not need another pole. And they don't need a big midfielder. They need a speed midfielder. Either speed or finesse, but not Eric Dobson. Eric Dobson's a great player. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but that formula does not work for the Woods. They do not need to go back to it.
I mean, what you're telling me is you're just an Anthony DeMeo hater.
No. That's not what I said. I said that they shouldn't draft Eric Dobson because just going and getting super large midfielders is not working for the Woods.
I mean, their offensive midfield right now is Charlie Bertrand.
Big.
Anthony DeMeo. Not big, but
5'10". He's barely cracked a roster.
Romar.
Big.
Cole Kirst.
Big.
Nakai.
I don't know where to put him.
Recently activated from the holdout list and signed to a 1-year contract, Ryan Tierney. That's your midfield.
Tierney ain't cracking the game day roster. And I don't think DeMeo's cracking the game day roster either.
And then you also signed Alex Simmons.
Sims cracks the roster.
We'll see where he gets slotted.
I think you need a second line speed guy to match Sims. I think Sims ends up being the speed guy on the 1 and takes Jewel's spot. But you need to have something comparable to him on the second line.
I mean, I'm also fully on board with the Nakai Montgomery's going to win MVP this year train. After the promo he cut at Champ Series. I've bought all the Nakai stock.
I'm just ready to talk about the college game now. After that, I'm not. Nope. I'm not getting into all that right now.
The floor is yours, good sir.
Good. Because you talking some spicy conversation over there.
Chill on me.
We're starting in D3 this week. Calvin over Alma here in MIAA play. They took care of business, so locking up the 3 seed in the tournament for them. Ohio Northern over Mount Union 8-3 as Coach Nat continues to do well with his squad for the year. Salisbury 29-2 over Montclair State as they continue to roll on the year. RPI came out with another win this week. I was just looking at a few others. North Central over Carthage. Big win there. Hope over Kalamazoo, 11-6. Albion drops 2 this week, I believe. They dropped 1 to Ohio Wesleyan, 15-8. Adrian over Trine, 14-5, giving us the 4 seed. And
Dang, I guess they weren't trying.
they weren't trying. No. Yeah, Christopher Newport grabs a win over Colorado College on Sunday, 18-12. But we're getting pretty close to that conference championship time of the year, conference tournament time of the year, as Salisbury is going to play Cabrini on Friday. That's something to keep an eye on. Seeing if there's anything else big around. RIT and Union are going to be in battle. Trine and Kalamazoo, which I don't want to see that slot fest. Alma Hope. Albion plays Adrian 7 p.m. Saturday. I might find a way to go to that next week. Or no, that's tomorrow. Wow, I'm definitely not going to that. Never mind. That's it. Oh, that's right. This is last week for D3 regular season. This week, we all know how I feel about D2, so I'm not even going to say anything about that. Looking back at last week for D1, plenty going on. Friday night, Penn State over Rutgers, Yale over Albany, Loyola Maryland over Navy. West Point continues to roll out in the Patriot League. Well, they're not really rolling. They're tied in some like bajillion team tiebreaker for 1 out in Patriot. Cornell over Harvard, 15-8. John Hop over Maryland, taking sole leadership and control of the Big Ten regular season title. Notre Dame over North Carolina, doing the same down in the ACC as they took care of North Carolina 14-6. Michigan over Ohio State 13-12 as they will rematch tomorrow at noon in the first round of the Big Ten tourney. Princeton over Penn, Syracuse over Virginia 18-17 in what turned out to be a blockbuster game. Georgetown wins big over St. John's. Denver scrapes out a win in the Big East. St. Joe absolutely gives it to St. Bonnie's 24-3. Villanova squeezes one out over Marquette 12-6. Into Sunday, where Albany was the only team to play as they played Merrimack 14-8 and a win there. And then that's where we get into this weekend. Later today, as we record on Friday, Georgetown, Villanova, Marquette, Denver. High Point already beat Massachusetts for 17-10. Drexel over Monmouth 6-4. West Point and Loyola Maryland play tonight as well. Saturday, this is where it gets fun. Duke and North Carolina. Notre Dame, Virginia.
What?
Princeton, Yale. Rutgers,
What?
Penn State. Ohio
What?
State, Michigan.
What?
Good ball. And then we don't get anything for quite some time because we're into conference play. So we're waiting on.
When you laid those out, it was just like, I'm going to have a beer. What? Tequila. What? More beer. What?
More tequila.
What?
And to
Vodka.
top it all off,
What?
a shot of Fireball.
What?
But yeah, no, that wraps it up for this week in the College Corner. There's a lot going on, but at the same time, we kind of have everything set.
We got to make Portal Jones shirts. We need to find somebody to like design you in a Rick and Morty style. Coming through a portal and put that on a shirt. Because that would be absolute gas.
Yes, I'm working on it. Don't worry. I'm going to find it. I'm going to get you one too.
Portal Jones merch.
And then we're going to find a way to sell that.
Yep. phiapparel.co, code underground, 10% off. Right there.
Man, don't miss no ops.
So yeah, there is the college breakdown. Enjoy the NLL playoffs this weekend, everyone. Shout out to the San Diego Seals. Reminder, DM the Seals if you want a chance to get your own Seals baseball jersey. Be creative. be respectful, but be creative, fun, and smart with your DMs to the San Diego Seals on Instagram and across social so that you can look like DJ and I and get your own Seals baseball jersey. Be sure to follow us on the socials at OTB Laxpod, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Facebook.com/OTB Laxpod. Follow DJ on Twitter at SCS_NextGreat. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Subscribe to the podcast feed on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts in audio form. But specifically on those two, because we get the analytics sent straight to us so we can see how we're growing, and we've been growing like crazy on Spotify recently. Let's keep it going. Let's keep the Spotify train rolling. We're like 9 followers, which is Spotify's term for subscribers, away from a big time milestone. So let's get more Spotify followers, more Apple Podcast subscribers going. Leave those 5-star reviews. And of course, subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, youtube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia. That is where you get full video episodes of this show every week, full video episodes of every show on our network, clips, shorts, live streams, original video content. It is all on our YouTube channel. Leave a like on the video. Leave a comment down below. Your thoughts on everything we discussed on the episode. And of course, ring that bell icon so you don't miss out on any episodes of any of our shows when they go live, and of course live streams throughout, including our PLL Draft Stream Extravaganza. And of course, subscribe to the Outside the Box Podcast YouTube channel as well, youtube.com/@OTB Laxpod. Get your merch, phiapparel.co, code underground, 10% off your order. And this has been episode number 320. We told you guys, a loaded episode of the award-nominated, honorably mentioned, number 9 NCAA ranked, viewable on YouTube, Outside the Box Podcast, the official lacrosse podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. For Deej, I'm KB. Enjoy the NLL playoffs. Enjoy the rest of the NFL draft. Enjoy the college game this weekend as well. We'll catch you guys next week, but until then, we're getting the heck up out of here and signing off. Peace.
Peace.